everyone, Ivy League Gaming here, and today we're playing Dragonheir Silent Gods. For today's video, I'm going to go through and give you 10 tips to help you succeed in Arena, plus some things you might have missed regarding that. So a lot has changed with the new start of Season 1 and the global launch for Arena. And I love the changes, honestly, but at the end of the day, Arena's still Arena. It's a little broken, it's not perfect, but it's definitely something worth doing daily. So we're going to go ahead and I'm going to give you guys some tips regarding doing Arena daily, some easy ways to make sure your builds are always up to date, setting your offense versus your defense, the shop, all the things. So let's get to that. So first of all, I am definitely not a big arena person, as you can see. If I go to my gladiator arena, I am only at bronze 1 again because I keep not doing arena daily. So I'm kind of slacking. But I do want to, tip number 1 is, even if you just hate arena, and it's the one thing you always forget about, and you're there, the shop isn't interesting enough, you don't really care, there is always the daily commission. So make sure you always do at least 1 arena battle. And then just keep an eye in case you get some quests for doing multiple arena battles as well. That could give you a nice bump in the walker trails. But my biggest tip is always, even if you're not like super into arena like I'm not, do a few battles a day. Like, don't ignore it 100%. At the very least, do your 1 battle to be able to get your walker's trail points. But doesn't mean you have to fully engage. So if you are someone who's willing to fully engage, let's talk about the shop, or if you're not. So the shop here is really special. It's different, right? Okay, so Heliolite die, I don't know how many of them you can get. I'm not in Silver Lion. I don't know if they changed it this season. Lucky playing cards last season cost 50,000 of these bad boys. Yes, 50,000, which is not unattainable, honestly. If you do like your 20 arena battles a day, you know, you get 15 capped out, plus you get more, and they recharge pretty quick. If you do 20 arena battles a day, and then you'll be ranking just fine as well, and you get those weekly ranking, you should be able to get the lucky playing cards. But the lucky playing cards are really unique here. Perfect, wonderful, simple attack stats. And then at the start of each battle here, you're guaranteed a crit from your first 1 up to 2 ultimate skills used. Guaranteed crit. So you can build someone with just a ton of attack and crit damage and no crit rate, and know that you are going to nuke like crazy. So if you're really into PvP and being competitive, this is kind of a must-have for Arena. It could also be fun for clearing Goblin quickly, honestly. Even if you don't really care too much about high-end Arena, I could see this being pretty useful in Goblin. If your first 2 ultimates you use, if you time them well, guaranteed crit, you're just gonna smash the waves pretty easily. It might not be the best example, but hey, I think it's somewhat usable in PvE, but definitely more so a PvP thing. All right, we have Starlight dies. So this is my favorite thing on the Starlight account, of course. So this is something you can get regularly. Personally, I have just been grabbing those for the most part because there's a lot of epics and rares that I'm still missing from the new season. So you might as well grab your stones. Depending on how much else you're doing, I would definitely always grab this, the discounted Essence of Creation. I don't like this though. I'm not buying this. 600 Essence of Creation for 2,000 when the last one was 300 for, was that 400? It's just too much. I'd rather gamble, get Essence of Creation when I get some dupes, and pull that way. So definitely I just want to kind of call out this tip number 2 is, don't go crazy in your arena shop. If you think you actually are going to be active consistently for arena, save for the lucky playing cards. This is expensive, and I doubt it's much cheaper this season. Even if it is, it's still going to be a grind to get there. You saw I was only at 3,000, but I really shouldn't have done that in case I changed my mind and I want to try to get it. But I have just decided, you know what? Like I'm not playing this account, my season 0 account actively enough to grind for this season. So this might be something I try to get next season. So I think I'm just going to keep getting the Starlight Die and the cheap essence of creation and be happy there. All right, now tip number 3, going into arena, don't forget this competitive mode settings. So many people were playing without any gear on their characters. Now, one thing that's really annoying, especially if you're like me and you have a season 0 account with a ton of people, is you can't see all your characters without, like, you have to scroll through and find every single one. And the ones you're using and have gear on don't pop up at the top, which is really annoying. But this is just really important. Make sure you're actually using this feature. And as you improve your gear, you need to update it here as well. Like, I am going Frost here with Okadir and Oster. It's a fun combo. I really like it. But if I've got better runes, like, you want to make sure you're always checking your runes and your artifacts. Because even if you set a plan that's easy to switch, which we'll talk about for our next tip, these don't change when you set up a saved preset. So keep an eye on your runes in case you've got something better. Like, okay, maybe I want accuracy so he lands the frost, but if I had enough accuracy otherwise, maybe I want to have some resistance on, okay, maybe not him, maybe my tank. But yeah, always keep an eye in case you're getting better options for what stuff should be. Like, I had enlightenment on him because I had no options. That's not doing anything. So maybe we add this crit damage one instead to someone who I want to do some damage. Oh, great. And we brought some crit rate in. Boom. Just make sure you keep this updated as you're improving your account before you do your arena battles every day. All right, the next tip is regarding using your plans from your other saved builds or making your plans here. So when you click your gear, there's this button called Plan. I haven't done this yet, so I figured I'd do this with you. I did this on my Starlight account, but I haven't done it with others. So if you create a plan, you can do this with anything. So like you can start fresh, and that does a brand new plan from scratch. You can edit what's currently on the character, then save that as a preset. So like if I want to see if this is this my best defensive set? Yeah, you know what? It probably is, because I don't have many options. And I wanted to have some accuracy, but you know what? Maybe I don't care about accuracy. Maybe I just want some survivability. So maybe we're going to change our plan. I don't know. Okay, never mind. I don't have another set. But yeah, so you're changing your gear, right? You're changing your gear. How can I get this off? Take off. Yeah, there we go. So let's say this is the most perfect set that I can do right now for my tank, that is Urion. And I want to save this. You save this plan. So like maybe you save this as tank build 1. Or you can save it as the character's name, or like what you're doing for stats, like tank with accuracy, tank with resist, tank with like whatever you need. Save. So now this is a preset. So now when you go into PvE or PvP, you can use the same presets. So if you already have things set up from your PvE runs, like let's say we want to build our best nuker preset, right? Like I want to put the best possible attack percentage and crit rate gloves I can do on my character. All right, I think I'm pretty close right now. Unfortunately, I don't think I have the greatest options, but I feel okay about this little baby build. So I want to save this as a plan. So then click the next one, save it as a new plan. You can save DPS 1. Perfect. Now, here is a big tip. So if you're going to go in and edit, you're like, okay, I want to edit my plan. I don't like this. I want to change it. Let me just change. Oh, I have to change something in order to do this, don't I? Let's just change this. Okay, sure, save. But look at what it does. And then you want to equip the new plan that you just saved. If you want to edit one of the plans and then you save it, it goes back to the top. So if I wasn't paying attention and I clicked equipment, which means equip, to put on my new plan, it would actually give me the tank build. Actually, if you edit a plan, because you just want to quickly edit your plans to make sure they're up to date, it jumps back to the top. So this is a little quirky little tip here, that once you're done editing something, make sure you actually go and 100% make sure you're on the right thing, because yeah, it kind of likes to change them on you. It's a little bit quirky, but hey. But make sure you're changing your plans. This is really nice so that you can always like have like your best DPS build saved for multiple content and then just move it over. I could build maybe another tank build. Maybe I want to build Tall War here. I could do that and move it over. Something like that, you know, you can kind of play with, and makes it a lot easier than having to readjust every time for PvE and PvP. All right, tip number 5 is your adventurer. So your adventurer is always going to be the element that you have them as in your PvE normal play. When you come in here, and you can't change it here, unfortunately. So if you want your adventurer, your traveler, to be something else, you need to switch it. So also along with that, if you want your traveler to be a certain element, go change it, come back in, and make sure you reset your runes. Unfortunately, it just never wants to, if you're going to use your traveler in arena, I mean, it never remembers your runes. So you kind of have to go ahead and swap them out here. And remember, every time you switch your traveler, even if it ends up back on the element that you want for arena, if you swapped it to ice, then swapped it back to fire, it's going to have no runes for the sake of arena. So if you use your traveler in arena, make sure you always come into competitive mode first. Go ahead to them and fix their runes before every set of battles, or you're going to be going in there with no runes on your character. Now we're talking about gear, right? So let's go ahead. Let's take a look at arena. All right, so I'm going against some crazy people. Oh my goodness. Well, these ones look easy. All right, let's go. So I want to make sure, let's say you are just progressing and you're like me. I still have epic gear, no legendary gear yet, working on getting there. So I don't want to go against a bunch of people with a bunch of legendary gear. You can click them and see their gear. This is also a way, look at this guy's missing all his gear. This guy's a mess. He's got nothing on his Horus. Okay. But he does have some stuff here. But again, the adventurer that is in the defense right now has been swapped around. So that having your adventurer in your defense is not a good idea, because as you change them for PvE content, if you're using them, they're always going to be losing their runes. And then now I'm going to fight someone that's totally missing gear. So like, look at no gear on this person. So if you went in and they seem too hard, you could back out. But I'm like, you know what? That is the easiest win I could ask for. They're not even wearing gear. Oh, and neither is my Voresh, because I stole a gear from him. But yeah, that's one little trick there, is to make sure that you can check the gear. Like, that's just such a weird, I don't think we should be able to do that. It's kind of, I feel like I'm cheating, but it's such a massive tip, because you might see a Kraken looking team that maybe has changed around their presets and forgot to change their lineup, which is the next thing we'll talk about. But yeah, I think that's amazing. Like, you might be able to fight people that you think are way too hard for you, but maybe you have legendary gear and they forgot to change their presets and they're still on blue or purple gear and you're way better gear-wise, so you might have a chance. Tip number 7 is just that, lineup, defense. Look at my defense, I haven't changed since the beginning. Zarloth has no gear on him. I've been using a setup. Tip number 1 is don't do what I just did. Make sure you check your lineup and you're using the same people that you have gear set on for your presets in your little lineup there. It's kind of a big deal, isn't it? I think so. So I also have, he's my healer, so I'm gonna actually put him off in the corner. Actually, he's fine. But yeah, I had a messed up lineup. So this whole time, people have been fighting my Zarloth that has no gear. I was one of those people. So make sure you're always checking your lineup. If you know you adjusted your team, and this is a good part too. Defense can be separate than offense, but you can only have, but your gear is your gear. So make sure if you want to have like a stall defense. Okay, actually, let's talk about that tip. Tip number 8 is defense. The best defenses are going to be ones that have a lot of annoyance, stalling, reviving, healing. You want to be annoying. You want crowd control. So yeah, I had Zarloth in there because you know what? He brings fear. He brings the recharge speed. Like, he's actually pretty cool. I really like him for arena and PvE content. But maybe you have, maybe you're like me and you also have a Cypherus. She's another great example of someone really awesome for arena because she has a full board heal and revive. Reviving people can be such a clutch thing in arena and keep the battle going longer. If you can outlast the enemy, then you're going to be in a better shape. So don't necessarily have the same offense. Wait, save successfully? Bruh. Okay, that I just learned. Don't necessarily have the same offense as defense. And as you saw, I was just messing around with stuff, and that just saved my lineup, even though I didn't hit the save button. So if you're messing around with stuff and you're like, never mind, I'm just going to keep what I had for my defense, make sure you go back in here and set it, because apparently the game just resaves over whatever you have in the moment. So like, yeah, I need to change my defense to be a little bit more annoying to survive better, but yeah, I really hate that feature. Why would it save if you didn't hit the save button? What if you're just playing around and you change your mind and you're like, nah, never mind, I'm keeping the old one. Anyway, bugs, nothing's perfect, it's fine. But yeah, super important tip there. And yeah, like we were talking about with defenses and being annoying, this is a really great example. Yola is so good. Let me actually go in here. She has so much. I mean, she brings silence, she brings decreased attack, she hits hard, she stuns, all the things. Tamar is kind of the queen of arena as well. She is super annoying. Buff prohibition, stun, crowd control, annoying. We have him with fear and recharging speed penalty, so he's extra annoying. And then we have Kamari, who has the revive on his ultimate, resurrection. So this is a really good example of like a team that should probably do pretty well on defense. Urion has great ally protection. But yeah, this is kind of a good example of what I was talking about. All right, so going in on offense, let's talk about our offenses. Tip number 9 is to be careful of your lineup of heroes. Now, we're going to fight this one guy because why wouldn't I? But I want to draw attention to some of these characters. Like, okay, let me just pull out him real quick. Zadok. And you're not going to use Zadok at Arena or probably anywhere. But a lot of heroes have this type of range, like straight ahead, like Eli, the rare, who I use in Arena. Be very aware of your ranges, because all of these heroes that have this exact pattern, where it's got the little arrow that shows they will turn this way, they will go straight ahead, they will go behind, but they do not go at an angle. So, for example, if I put Zadok up here, he would never hit this enemy, because he's only going to hit straight ahead with these 3 tiles, straight down with these 3 tiles, and he would never hit the enemy. So just be very aware of your patterns. If you have anyone like that in the team, it has to be very specific. That's one of those key ones that can be huge, because a lot of people have this just general grid and that can kind of go anywhere. That's not a big deal. But when you have something like that, Zadok or Eli, you have to make sure that people are actually in your range, or they don't twist and hit like a diagonal. That is huge. And for that reason, it's probably best to avoid putting them on defense because it's easy to avoid them. And our last tip is don't group your heroes all together. Spread them out ideally, because again, it makes you an easy target. But yeah, that's all for today's video, guys. I hope this was helpful for top 10 tips for Arena, and I'll see you in the next one.